Okay, hi class. I would like to make this video for everyone that missed class because of the bad link. Apologies for that. So what I would like to do is go over the assignment that is coming up. It's very important, and that, of course, is the financial draft. So let's talk about that for a real quick moment. What you're going to do is look at chapter 14. I'm going to go over that chapter 14 in about a minute here, but what we're trying to do is you kind of come up with some revenue. In class, I'll ask around, what is your revenue stream? Ask yourself, how are you earning money and how much do you think you're going to make? If you don't know any of that, then it's kind of hard to create your business and explain to people what you're doing if you can't explain the revenue stream. So think about that. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the textbook and a few examples of the income statement. The income statement is a very important document, and it's the most important, one of the most important financial tools that CEOs and CFOs and leaders of business know and understand. So let's talk about that. This is going to be due February 26th, coming right up. So this video is just for you guys in this class, for you who have missed the class. At the end, I'm going to show you how to get full credit. So hang in there, watch the whole video, and then I'll tell you how to get your credit. So again, we have this assignment that's coming up. You would put it into the Dropbox right here. It's going to be the financial draft. What I've done here is I've set up the textbook, so I'd like to talk a little bit about that. But before I do, let's go to what chapter 14 is really all about. And let's go to the introduction there. And of course, as usual, look at the learning objectives. What I want to talk about is the two types of ways to look at accounting and finance. And that's how it is. There's accounting, which is the counting of the money. And there's a bookkeeping system that charts money coming in and money going out. I can't go into that in detail. The book doesn't really go into that in detail. And your accounting class will go into that in detail. And it is very important to understand how accounting goes, where numbers are placed. And the interesting thing about the accounting profession is that there is one way to do a balance sheet and an income statement. Double entry bookkeeping is done one way throughout the world. So the largest companies in the world, Nike and Exxon and General Electric, they do it the same way as a little bookkeeping service or a food truck or any business in the world. So it is a language. Accounting is a language that those who speak the language can communicate very easily. Those who can understand those statements can make important decisions for a company. I also want to point out that the accounting profession is possibly one of the best, partly because you can get a job anywhere, in any city, anytime, anywhere you want. You can always get a decent job. So it's good to know. It's also one of the most important things in learning about business. So this is a really crucial chapter, this chapter 14. Of course, we've jumped up to chapter 14 from the regular progression because we want to do this assignment that I pointed out. And this is going to help you because what you're doing is creating a balance sheet. Okay. So there's the accounting process that the first section speaks to. The income statement is what you're creating. It's actually technically called, what the assignment is a pro forma income statement. Pro forma is the word for practice, basically. It's what it would look like if. And that's a regularly used tool by most business people. So you have an income statement, and this is a pro forma income statement. You're going to take guesses or calculated interpretations of what you might have for expenses and what you might have for revenue. So that's all the income statement is in revenue less expenses. What's your profit? Sometimes they call the income statement a P&L or profit and loss statement. And those are, like I say, they're most important things, how you're doing in the business. The next thing is a balance sheet. You do not have to produce a balance sheet for your business. No need for a balance sheet, but we're going to go over that. That's the other most important document, and I'll explain that in a few minutes. So we're going to look at the accounting process, but really what I want to do for this video is just what I did earlier is I'm just jumping to an income statement. An income statement covers a period of time. So it's from the first of the month to the end of the month, or it could be from the first of the month through March 31st, which would be first quarter, or it could be April, May, June, second quarter, or it can be, of course, the whole year. And it is a period of time. So how much money did you make from the 1st of January to the end of December is how the time period goes. So the time period is a range, and it's important to understand. These are all important things to understand. The terminology used. This is basically what's going to happen is you're going to take the revenue sales and you're going to take out the cost of goods immediately. Let's say you buy shoes, buy them for $100, sell them for $200. Cost of good is what you bought the stuff for. A lot of times the material that you're selling, it gets converted, and that's material that if you didn't sell, you wouldn't have that expense. That's how cost of goods is. And then from that, you derived gross profit, and then you take out all of the expenses in the business, all the things that are costing you money, and there's selling expenses. There's a lot of different categories. There's hundreds of categories, really. And we'll look at all the examples there. The expenses are going to be the people, the rent, the equipment that you use, the stuff in the office, any subscriptions. There's dozens and dozens of things that you can have for that. Here's a great example. Like I said, you start with revenue, and you're going to do this with the examples that I provide. You take out what that cost you. If you didn't sell, you didn't have cost of revenue. I mean, if you didn't sell, you wouldn't have cost of goods. Cost of goods is really cost of revenue. It's also abbreviated COGS or COGS, cost of goods sold. And again, you can see that you get to profit here. This is an interesting 3-year progression. You can see often companies want to compare last year and the year before maybe, and that's what we're doing here. So to operate this business, you had research and development of this much. You had sales and the sales staff and how much that took. You have other income and interest, and what you're going to come up with is net income. Basically, the bottom line is it's revenue less expenses. Just think of it as that way. Revenue less expenses. Here's a little bit that tells you all about how to calculate revenue and what expenses really are all about, what depreciation is, which is how value is lost on assets. You come up with a net income. Anyway, so this whole section here is super important, and this is 14.3 right there, 14.3. So the next thing I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to change directions because, well, wait a minute. Before I talk about a balance sheet, let's finish what we're talking about for the income statement, because I'm going to the class where we are going to have end of the content. You're going to have to search for this stuff, but the homework assignment instructions include a video that shows us exactly how to do that. Actually, sorry, the video is over here in week 5, and that's the one right there. So what I'm doing right here, and I'll play this for 1 second. Hi, class. So I'm building a pro forma income statement live for you in this video. So go ahead and watch it. You can fast forward and jump around and get everything working. It's kind of learning how to use the Excel spreadsheet. This is for a goods business, okay? And then this is for a service industry. A little bit different color there. And like I say, in the homework instructions is another nice thing that's handy for you is the actual spreadsheet. I'll fix that. The actual spreadsheet that was used in the creation of the video, which is in the creation of the mock company's pro forma income statement. Okay, pro forma income statement. Period of time, revenue, and then what that cost you, how much expenses came out of that. Then you have gross profit. We all want to know what gross profit is, how much are we making. Usually you don't know until you have to tally up like a whole month and say, this was a good month. We made money or we made less money. You can always compare it to other parts. So I'm jumping to the next part of the financial statements, which would be the balance sheet. Jumping over to the balance sheet. The balance sheet is a equation which is assets equals liabilities plus owner equity. I'm looking for the actual equation just written out. And of course, there it is. No, it's not. There it is, balance sheet. It's the snapshot. That's the thing about the balance sheet is what you're doing is you're adding up everything that the company is worth. So, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling here looking for something, and blowing it. So, think about all the assets are what the company is worth. And that is typically made up of liabilities. So you borrowed money and you also put in money. So owner equity or stocks. So you take out loans, that's liability. You put that in to the liability chart. And then you have your investment in the company. You have owner equity in that side. Those collectively together make up the assets. So the assets are made up of liabilities and owner equity. So again, really read this chapter here, the 14.4 on the balance sheet to understand what that's all about. I'm going to say that there's one more. Well, here I'm at a good example here. This is all the assets right here, which this is last year and this year, and in the assets we can see, okay, here's what we are worth is 17315. Let's move that up to, oops, there it is. The total assets came to 17315. Guess what liabilities plus shareholder equity is going to equal? 17315 right here. Let's see if that's the case. And I'm jumping because I can't get this. Let's move that guy over. There you go. Okay. 17315 for that year, and which is made up of a bunch of liabilities plus a bunch of owner equity. Total equity is 12. 12 plus 5 total liabilities equals 17315, which means this is in balance. It's a balance sheet. Everything has to equal. Okay, so that's the end of that portion. The third important thing is a statement of cash flows. You also do not need to do a statement of cash flows for homework for your business plan. And the statement of cash flows is basically how much money you have to pay the bills. And of course, when you're running a business, you need to know Friday's coming, it's payday, what are you going to do? Or we had a delivery of some equipment, it's due in 7 days. We got a bill for a vendor that we have to pay in 7 days. You can't not pay vendors, and you can't not pay your staff, and that can be a big chunk of the business. So having a statement of cash flows help you understand what cash you have on hand. Okay, I think that is going to do it for this instructional video. One last thing, we have in the next class we have a business model question. I want to do a little discussion and take some scenarios of some problems that this business model has, and you can all find it in the week 5 discussion question. This is really week 6 we're in, but we can talk about week 5. The discussion is the bamboo container model. You don't have to write anything in because we're kind of going to take some breakout. We're going to do a breakout room next Monday, and we're going to make sure that we have a good look at how that is. So make sure to understand the discussion question. And hey, while I'm at it, let's just go to that discussion question. Let's just point to it and say, here is the business model. Okay. You don't have to post. We're going to talk about it in class. This is the business model, and that's what we're going to do, and see what you can come up with for ideas. Bring yourself into class with a bunch of ideas. Okay. If you've seen this video, I'm going to give you credit, but please let me know. So email me any questions or comments that you have about my video, and that's it. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to email you some more stuff about this business model question. So email me for credit to the class. You watch the video, it's 14 minutes. Let me know. Give me questions. Give me some questions, and I'll give you 100% credit for this class. And we're all good. Thank you very much. We'll see you on Monday next week.